Good morning, dear students of class 11 science. Welcome to the second class of the second chapter, biological classification. In the first class, we have learned about the need for biological classification of living organisms. Then we have discussed a brief history about two kingdom system of classification, then 3, 4, 6. Then we have dealt with the most important system, that is five kingdom system of classification proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Then we have discussed the criteria for the five kingdom system of classifications. There we have discussed each and every criteria for classifying organisms under the five kingdom system. Now today we will learn about the characteristics of those five kingdom system of classification. So first of all, what are those five kingdom under the R.H. Whittaker five kingdom systems? So mainly the kingdoms are kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. So these are the five kingdom system of classification. Alright, so these are the five kingdoms which comes under the five system of classifications under R.H. Whittaker. So first of all, we'll discuss the characteristics of kingdom Monera. Then we'll go through one by one. Okay, we'll just go through the brief characteristics of each and every kingdom. The first one is kingdom Monera, the prokaryotes. Clear? So the kingdom Monera, the prokaryotes. Okay. So kingdom Monera, important characteristics are: number one, they are unicellular. Uni means one. They are composed of single cell, microscopic, which are not visible by the naked eyes, and they live in moist conditions. So this is the habitat. Okay, they live in moist conditions or moist habitat. Number two, they lack a definite nucleus. So we will not find a well-defined nucleus in case of Monera or bacteria. Now, what does a well-defined nucleus means? Well-defined nucleus means presence of nuclear membrane. Okay, because in case of multicellular organisms, let's say in case of human beings, clear? That's for example. The nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. Clear? But in case of Moneran, we don't find a well-defined nucleus. So where do we find the nuclear material? Where do we find the chromosomes in case of Monerans? Clear? So in case of Monerans, the nuclear material consists of coiled naked strand of circular DNA. Now, what does coiled naked strand of circular DNA means? Because there is no nuclear membrane. So over here you can see this is the coiled naked circular DNA. Clear? Which are mainly present in case of monerans, because this particular nuclear membrane is not surrounded by the nuclear membrane. Now over here you can get confused between these two structures, this one and this one. Okay, actually this is the nuclear material or the circular DNA, and over here the structure which we are seeing, this is the plasmid, plasmid plasmid. Okay, it is the extra chromosomal circular DNA molecule present in case of bacteria. Clear? So this is the plasmids, which are mainly used in the process of biotechnology, which you will learn in higher classes. Clear? So over here what you learn is that a well-defined nucleus is absent in case of monerans, and the nuclear materials is usually naked and usually in the form of circular DNA, since it is not enclosed by the nuclear membrane. Okay, now next one, the cell wall is rigid means hard, H-A-R-D. Okay, the cell wall is hard, which is made up of peptidoglycans. Now generally cell wall is made up of chitin. Okay, in case of plant cell the cell wall is made up of cellulose. In animal cell it is absent, but over here the monerans, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans. Now, what is peptidoglycans? Peptidoglycan is mainly a polymer of sugar and amino acids, or we can say sugar and protein, because amino acids are the building block of proteins. Okay, so peptidoglycans means the polymer of sugar and amino acids. So usually this will compose, or this will help in the formation of monomer cell wall or the bacterial cell wall. But the monerans usually lack the membrane-bound cell organelles. Now, what are the membrane-bound cell organelles? They are mainly the Golgi body, ribosomes, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. These are the membrane-bound cell organelles, which are absent in case of monerans. Right? Next one, reproduction is asexual. Asexual means a single parent is involved. Okay, there is no formation of gamete, there is no fusion of gamete. It only involves the single parent where there is no need of gamete formation and the fusion of gamete. So what type of reproduction occur in case of monerans? So asexual reproduction occur in case of monerans. And what are the types of asexual reproductions? It's simply binary fission or budding. Now, what is binary fission? In binary fission, a single cell will divide into two daughter cell. Clear? In binary fission, suppose let's say this is the single cell. Clear? So in binary fission, this single cell will divide into two daughter cell. Fission means to break up. Clear? And budding means, suppose this is the parental body. Okay, suppose this is the parental body. Now, in the parental body, a small bud will arise. The small bud will arise at the one side of parental body. Now, this bud will start growing in size. Clear? This bud will start growing in size. Let's make the second diagram. Let's see that the bud slowly growing in size. Okay, so when this bud usually grows up and usually matures, it will detach. It will detach from the parental body. Okay, it will just separate from the parental body, and ultimately from one parental body there will be formation of two daughter organism. This is called budding. Clear? So binary fission and budding are the modes of asexual reproduction which occurs in case of kingdom Monera. Next one. Next character. Nutrition may be heterotrophic or autotrophic. In the last class we have discussed what does heterotrophic means and what does autotrophic means. Right? We have learned about heterotrophs and we have learned about autotrophs. So kindly go through the first class about the definition of heterotrophic and autotrophic. Okay. Now, heterotrophic forms may be saprophytes or parasites. Saprophyte means which used to get their organic food material from the dead and decomposed body. Okay, parasite means which are totally dependent on the host, but they don't kill the host, but they are dependent for the survival, for feeding, alright, for the shelter, totally on the host. Okay. Now, saprophyte causes decay, fermentation, or putrefaction of dead organic matter. Now, what does fermentation means? Fermentation is the breakdown of carbohydrates into carbon dioxide, alcohol, and energy. Putrefaction means the anaerobic breakdown of proteins. Anaerobic means which occurs in the absence of oxygen. And parasitic forms means which live on other living organisms. Clear? They used to get the food materials from the host. Right? Now, next one, autotrophic mode of nutrition means either they will prepare the food materials by trapping the solar energy, which is called photoautotropic, which photo means light. So in this case, they will trap the light energy for the preparation of food, or by using energy, which is called chemoautotrophs. Alright, all these things we are discussing in the first class. We are discussing about heterotropic, autotropic, photoautotropic, chemoautotropic, heterotrophs, autotrophs. So kindly go through it. Clear? So under Monera, we can include two major groups, eubacteria and archaebacteria. Okay, eubacteria include cyanobacteria, or we can say blue-green algae, and we will find true bacteria. Under archaebacteria, which are the primitive one, which can thrive under extreme conditions, under extreme environmental conditions. Okay, so under archaebacteria, we will get halophiles, we get thermocytophiles, and we get methanogens. So they are the oldest type or the primitive type of bacteria in this planet, mainly the archaebacteria. So thus now we have finished the characteristics of kingdom Monera. So kindly go through it. Okay. Now we'll go with the second kingdom, kingdom Protista, also called unicellular eukaryotes. Okay. Kingdom Monera was totally unicellular. We don't find well or membrane-bound cellular organelles. But in case of unicellular eukaryotes or Protista, we will see the presence of membrane-bound cellular organelles. So just look at the first point. contains typical eukaryotic cell organelles such as nucleus, mitochondria, ER means endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, and plastids. So the membrane-bound cell organelles which was missing in kingdom Monera are present in kingdom Protista. Now they bear cilia or flagella for locomotions, and whenever the cilia or flagella are present, they are present in 9 plus 2 internal microtubular structure. Now what does this 9 plus 2 internal microtubular structure mean? So for that, kindly look at the given diagram. So over here we will count the number of microtubules. It's saying that 9 plus 2 internal microtubular structures if cilia flagella is present. So first of all, count over here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So outermost we will find 9 microtubular structure. Plus 2 means this inner one, 1 and 2. So 9 plus 2 arrangement of microtubular structures will be present in case of Protista if cilia or flagella are present for locomotion. Hope it is clear for you. Okay, so it's called 9 plus 2 arrangement. 2 plus 2 means the central microtubule. Clear? And you can see over here in the diagram, this one will do in details when you go through the kingdom Protista. But look over here, each of the microtubules are joined with one another or connected with one another by the help of interdoublet bridge. Okay, we'll discuss it afterwards. Now, cell wall if present, it is made up of cellulose. So I can remember, in case of monerans, it was made up of peptidoglycans. But in case of Protista, cell wall if present, they are made up of cellulose. Nutrition may be autotrophic, heterotrophic, saprotrophic, or parasitic. Now, I am not going to define each and every term because already I have discussed the term in the first class only. So kindly go through the first bit here, okay, or the first chapter. So you will get the meaning. You will get the clear concept about this particular terms. What does autotrophic means, heterotrophic means, saprotrophic means, and parasitic means. Okay. Next one, phytoplankton. Now, what are phytoplanktons? Alright, they are the free floating organisms. You can say they are the organisms which are present on the surface of the water body. Okay, phytoplanktons. Phyto means plant. Clear? Planktons means which are present floating on, which are the organisms which are present floating on the water body. Now, phytoplanktons. Alright, they are the photosynthetic organisms or the autotrophs, and most of them have cell wall and have flagella, and they are the major producers of the oceans. Now what do you mean by producers? Those that are those organisms which will prepare the food materials. And since phytoplanktons are photosynthetic, since they are autotrophic, they used to produce the food materials. All right, they used to synthesize the food materials, so therefore they are known as the producers of oceans. In the first class only we are talking about producer. We have discussed about primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer, if you remember. All right, we'll go through it afterwards. But remember, producers means those that produce the food materials. Okay, so autotrophs are the producers because they used to produce the food material by the process of photosynthesis. So therefore, phytoplanktons are the chief producers of the oceans. Next one. Some of the protists, they are also predator or also consumer. Example, you can find protozoans. They do not have cell wall and so holozoic mode of nutrition where they used to engulf the food particles, where there will be ingestions, where there will be digestions, and where there will be absorption through the alimentary canals. We understand that thing. So some of the protists, they are predators, they are consumers, alright, they don't have cell wall, but they show holozoic mode of nutrition. Whereas there are certain protist or protozoans also who are parasites which live on other living organisms in order to get food and shelter, right? Protistans are the primitive eukaryotes from which multicellular eukaryotes have evolved. So protistans, since it is unicellular eukaryotes, so they are the primitive one. Primitive means they were evolved at the earliest time, and from these primitive eukaryotes, the present multicellular eukaryotes came into existence. And this is the most important one, okay? Because kingdom Protista, they act as the connecting link between kingdom Monera and the complex multicellular kingdoms. Try to recall, in the last class we have talked about the phylogenetic relationship of five kingdoms, where we have discussed that the kingdom Monera gave rise to kingdom Protista. Kingdom Monera used to be unicellular prokaryotes. Then they give rise to unicellular eukaryotes, which is kingdom Protista. Now from the kingdom Protista, kingdom fungi came into existence. Then kingdom Animalia came into existence and kingdom Plantae came into existence. So therefore kingdom Protista, they act as a connecting link between the kingdom Monera and the three complex multicellular kingdom. Three complex multicellular kingdom means kingdom Fungi, kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. Clear? So this kingdom Protista, they act as a connecting link between the kingdom Monera and the three complex multicellular kingdoms. So here we have finished the kingdom Protista also. So we will move into the next kingdom, kingdom Fungi, which is also called multicellular decomposers. Decomposers means which will decompose the dead remains of plants and animals. So till now we have learned about kingdom Protista, which was unicellular eukaryotes, but now we are seeing that kingdom Fungi is multicellular. So all the fungi, they used to be multicellular, but with exception, one is unicellular, and that is yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Okay, so yeast is unicellular, and most of them are multicellular. So what comes under fungi? Generally, when we talk about fungi, the chief example that comes into our mind is mushrooms. We generally say that mushroom is a fungi, right? But within fungi, there are lots of species. Okay, it's mainly a vast one. It's a vast kingdom. We will find different species of fungi. But generally, we see that under kingdom fungi, mushroom comes. Okay, but we will find different types of species under the kingdom fungi. Some of the examples we can see over here: molds. You have seen the occurrence of molds on the bread when we used to keep the bread for nearly more than 3 or 4 days. You can see the presence of fungi. That's called the molds. Mushrooms, which is a common thing. Puffballs, this is the puffball. Okay, then bracket fungi, this is the bracket fungi. I think all of us seen this one. So this comes under the kingdom fungi. And remember, fungi, they are multicellular, but with exception, yeast is multicellular. Okay, and they are without chlorophyll. Now since they are without chlorophyll, they are not able to prepare the food particles by themselves. So since they are not able to prepare the food particle by themselves, they are called heterotrophic. That heterotrophs. But most of the fungi, they are saprophytes, which mainly feed on the dead and decaying organic remains, so plant and animals. And there's other organisms also which are parasites, which are dependent on the body of other living organisms. Even in our body also, fungi are present. Okay, so it's got different type of diseases also. Next one, thallus means the plant body or the body of fungi. So you can see the figure over here. Kindly look at this figure. Okay, so you can see the structure of fungi over here. So this structures, we can say it is the thallus, the plant body. Okay, the plant, sorry, the body of the fungi is called thallus, and each thallus consists of delicate thread-like hyphae. So here you can see the branching. Can you see this branching? This branch. These branch are called hyphae. The main body is called the thallus, and within the thallus we will find the delicate thread-like structures. These structures are called hyphae, which you can see over here. Okay, then the network of hyphae forms the mycelium. So if we see the structure like this, suppose this is the network of hyphae. You can see over here the network of hyphae. So this structure of hyphae is called mycelium. And hyphae may be uninucleate. Uni means one, nucleate means nucleus, or multinucleate. Multi means more than one, and nucleate means nucleus. Clear? Okay. Next character. Cell wall is made up of chitin, and the rich of food materials in case of fungi is made up of glycogen. Okay, listen carefully. Cell wall in case of fungi is made up of chitin. Clear? Then the richer food materials which are present in case of fungi, that is fungi, it's mainly in the form of glycogen. Now what is glycogen? Okay, it is the main form of carbohydrate. Kindly note it down. Glycogen, main form of carbohydrate storage in animals. Okay, glycogen, main form of carbohydrate storage in animals, which can be converted back to glucose whenever needed. So this glycogen can be converted back to glucose whenever it is needed by the body. Clear? Next one. Reproduction is asexual, which takes place by the help of spore formation or by the help of conidia. Parasitic forms, which are dependent on other organisms, causes disease in plants and animals, so they are harmful. Fermentation activity of some fungi are used in brewing in baking industry. So which fungi are used in baking and brewing industry? Your answer will be yeast. So yeast is mainly used in baking and brewing industry for making alcohol also, okay, for making cakes or for making bread. So mainly we use the yeast. Now, fungi are the decomposers of the dead organic matter, which they decompose into the simple inorganic compound. Because fungi are the important decomposers, which will help in the decomposition of dead remains of plant and animals. So, the complex organic compounds will be changed into simple inorganic compound, which will be again utilized by the producers by the plant, a source of nutrients. Clear? So, here we have finished about the kingdom fungi also. Next one, kingdom Plantae, the multicellular producers, because they contain chlorophyll and they will initiate the process of photosynthesis. Clear? So they are called the producers. So they are eukaryotes, multicellular eukaryotes with chlorophyll. You know what is chlorophyll? And usually the plant cell contains large cell vacuole and the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Remember this thing, they contain a large vacuole and the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Plants are immobile, means they are not able to move from one place to another place. Okay. They synthesize their own organic food from water, carbon dioxide, and mineral using light energy trapped by the chlorophyll. That means we are discussing about the process of photosynthesis. So, by the help of chlorophyll, they are able to initiate or begin the process of photosynthesis, by which they are able to synthesize the organic food material by using water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight. Next one. So we have said that the plants are producers, they are autotrophs, but there are few forms or few flowers which are heterotrophic form or living as partial parasites. Okay, for example, you can see over here mistletoe. Okay, mistletoe you can see over here. This one is the mistletoe with the partial parasites. Okay, or you can see the total parasites which are totally dependent on other plant. Example, cascata. You can see over here. This yellowish one. Can you see over here? This yellowish one over here. The green one or the plant, this yellowish one, which you can see over here. This is the cascata. So they are the total parasites on other plant body. And Rafflesia, the largest flower also. This one is also the total parasites. Clear? Okay. Then there are few one which lives in symbiotic association with the root nodules of leguminous plants. They help in nitrogen fixation. Clear? Then you have got insectivorous plants also, which will trap and digest the insects and absorb their nitrogenous matter. I think you have heard about Venus flytrap and pitcher plant, which are insectivorous plant. Okay, so now here we will finish about the kingdom Plantae also. Now, kingdom Animalia, multicellular consumers. Why do we used to call them consumers? Because they are not able to prepare their food particles and they are dependent directly or indirectly on the autotrophs. Okay, so they are called consumer, and there are three types of consumer: primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. Primary consumer, they will feed upon the grass, upon the plants. They are the herbivore. Then carnivore, which will feed upon the herbivore, they are called secondary consumer. And the larger carnivore, which will feed upon the secondary consumer, they are called tertiary consumer. Okay, so consumers are not able to prepare their food particles, but they are dependent on other living organisms for the source of food. Okay, so kingdom Animalia, all the animals are included. So they are also known as metazoa. They lack chlorophyll, and so holozoic mode of nutrition, that means they will engulf the food particles, solid food particles. Clear? And that food particles will be digested or ingested, digested, and will be absorbed in the alimentary canal. Okay, except sponges. Sponges are immobile, they are confined to a fixed position, they are not able to move. So except sponges, most of the animals, or let's say all the animals, actually sponges, they are mobile. M-O-B-E, mobile means they are able to move from one place to another place in search of food and shelter. Okay, and the ability of movement or the mobility in case of kingdom Animalia is the development of muscle cells and the nerve cells. Some of the animals groups have become parasitic, example tapeworms and roundworms. Okay, they form link in different food chain. The process of eating of one organism by the another organism is called food chain, and when the food chain becomes complex one, it is called the food web. So this kingdom Animalia, they form a link in different food chains and food web. Okay, because the energy flow occurs throughout the food chain. The energy is produced by the producers, by the green plants, and from the green plants the energy will be transferred to the primary consumer, then to secondary consumer, then to tertiary consumer, then again you have got apex predator at the top. Okay, so the energy flow will occur from the producer to the consumer. So that's why they will form a link in the food chain or in the food web. So we have finished the characteristics of the five kingdoms under the five kingdom system of classifications. Now we will justify the five kingdom system. Okay, so how can justify? We can justify this because there is separation of prokaryotes in separate kingdom Monera, which can be fully justified. Okay, so Monera and prokaryotes have been separated. Okay, so justification of prokaryotes in a separate kingdom Monera is fully justified. So prokaryotes are included in the kingdom Monera, which is fully justified. Then inclusion of many unicellular eukaryotes like Eculena and Chlamydomonas, which are earlier included both in plant and animal kingdom, into an independent kingdom Protista has removed this anomaly. It's saying that Eculena and Chlamydomonas, they were earlier placed in both plant and animal kingdom. Okay, but now they have been grouped into the separate kingdom, that is unicellular eukaryotes, that is protist. Okay, separation of fungi into separate kingdom is fully justified. Number 3 you can see over here. So separation of fungi also into separate kingdom is also fully justified. The plant and animal kingdom have become more homogeneous because most of the animals has been removed and have been put in the separate kingdom. Now, five kingdom system is based on cellular organization, mode of nutrition. It is more natural because it indicates the gradual evolution of all organisms into plants and animals. So, by the help of the five kingdom system classifications, we can see the gradual evolution of organisms into plant and animals. Because we have told that in phylogenetic tree of five kingdom system, we have mentioned that the kingdom Monera has given rise to kingdom Protista, and from there it gives rise to the kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and the kingdom Animalia. So by this way we can justify the five kingdom system of classification. But what are the shortcomings or the disadvantage of the five kingdom system of classification? Number one, Monera and Protista are heterogeneous groups, they are not similar, but they include photosynthetic and heterotrophic form, and also organisms with and without cell wall. So this is one of the shortcomings of five kingdom systems. Number two, a distinction between unicellular and multicellular organisms is not possible in the case of algae. Three kingdoms, three higher kingdoms, fungi, plantae, and animalia are polyphyletic. Now, what does polyphyletic means? Write down the meaning: having multiple ancestral sources. Okay, polyphyletic means having multiple ancestral sources. Now, since due to the polyphyletic nature, several multicellular lines have been evolved from the protist. Phylogenetic relationships, more particularly of lower organisms, are not fully reflected. So these are the shortcomings of five kingdom system of classification as proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Next one, we'll just see the characteristics of five kingdoms from your textbook. Kindly go through the page number 7, 2.7, table number 2.1. You can see this particular table. Okay, characteristics: kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So cell type. When you see the cell type in Monera, prokaryotic; Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia, they are eukaryotic. Cell wall in case of Monera is composed of peptidoglycans, Protista cellulose, fungi chitin, plant cell cellulose, animal cell it is absent. Okay, nuclear membrane is absent in Monera, present in Protista, fungi, plant, and Animalia. Chloroplast absent in Monera, present in some forms, fungi absent, Plantae it is present, Animalia it is absent. Mitochondria absent in Monera, present in Protista, okay, present in fungi, present in Plantae, present in Animalia. Tissue or multicellularity, in case of Monera they are absent because they are unicellular. Protista also they are unicellular eukaryotes, so it is absent. But fungi will find multicellularity. In Plantae also will find tissues. Okay, animals will find tissue in all the forms. Mode of nutrition: Monera autotrophic, chemosynthetic and photosynthetic, heterotrophic, saprophytic and parasitic. Protista they are photosynthetic and heterotrophic. Fungi they are heterotrophic, saprophytic and parasitic by absorption. Plantae they are totally autotrophic, and sometimes you will find partial parasites also and full parasites also. Animalia heterotrophic, they used to ingest the food particles, so it is holozoic. Okay, modality: bacteria or Monera they are bacteria, flagella, gliding or non-motile. Then Protista, cilia, flagella, amoeboid, contractile fibrils will help in motility. Fungi, cilia, flagella will help in motility. Plantae, cell and flagella in lower forms, absent in most other forms. That means in higher forms we don't find mobility or motility in case of plants. Animals will find cilia, flagella and contractile fibrils. Nervous system in Monera absent. In Protista, only conduction of stimuli. Fungi is absent. In Plantae, absent but show conduction of stimuli, and Animalia present often complex. So the characteristics of the five kingdom system is provided by R.H. Whittaker. So in today's class, we have just discussed the characteristics of the five kingdom system of classification. We have discussed the characteristics of kingdom. First kingdom Monera, second kingdom Protista, third fungi, then fourth is Plantae, and the fifth is Animalia. Then we have discussed the justification of five kingdom systems and shortcomings also, and lastly we have seen the characteristics of five kingdom system of classification. Okay, so in the next class we will begin with the kingdom Monera in details. So this was for today. See you in next class. Thank you.